Warning, this podcast typically features spoilers and strong opinions. Proceed with caution.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Grooms, One Plot, the podcast where two married lifelong storytellers talk about stories. I'm Pavi Proczko, audiobook narrator, author, actor, etc.
And I'm Colin Funk, childhood development expert and teaching artist.
And today we're going to talk about Mean Girls, the new movie musical.
Yes, the new movie is a musical.
Yes, can't wait to get into it.
Yes.
It's an interesting one. But first, it's time for our moment of the week. You know, I think I have one, and you're going to be mad at me because it's a good idea for you. But it's what's the podcast that...
Tony and Ryan podcast?
Yeah, the Tony and Ryan podcast.
Exactly what you're
Australians. And the thing is, I've never actually listened to the full podcast. But you keep running into like their videos, shorts.
I follow their clips because they're so
their clips are
funny.
Freaking funny, and all they do is like they get emails from people, I guess, and talk about them. I'm not sure what the show is.
I've listened to even chunks of their podcast, and I'm not sure there is something specific that they do. I do not know,
but it's really impressive because they have a lot of clips, and they're all very funny, and each one is. I was just noticing it's like a small story, and that's really what makes them work. Mm-hmm. But somehow they're able to just the way that they talk to each other, just like friends that laugh about stuff.
Yeah,
but they just the way that that they talk about things just falls in line with a story structure that just each little video feels very complete.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how they do it.
I don't know.
It just happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, they edit it down. They just, you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. But the one in particular I'm thinking about is the one where she brought a recording. She was talking about her laundry machine, which happens to be the same as our laundry machine and
it's the same
dishwasher. It's Samsung.
Yeah, it's a Samsung. It has a little tune that plays.
And it just keeps on going. But it's just, she plays it for him. And it's very funny because it's the first time we heard it. It's every time you feel it's done, you're oh, it's it. Oh, it keeps going.
Yeah,
it keeps going.
Few false
and
ends.
it was just this beautiful little complete piece. This very silly demonstration of this tune after the laundry machine was done, and I felt very personally connected to it.
Well, yes.
Because I think about that all the time now. And we have this puppy who doesn't, a new puppy who doesn't really like dinging sounds, so I had to shut it off. So it's been a while since I've heard it, but I thought that was so funny. I think that's my moment, the little stories, and that little story in particular.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't get closer.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. What is it? Tony and Ryan? Tony and Ryan podcast. Yeah, check it out. Yeah. Maybe we'll tag them here.
Great.
If we remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Been watching Human Resources.
I know. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of something from Human Resources. Have we been watching anything else? I mean, Simpsons.
Disenchantment.
Oh, yeah, Disenchantment. There was a good moment, wasn't there? Where we're another one.
Yeah.
So Disenchantment. Okay, we can talk about Disenchantment.
Sure.
Disenchantment, I think my least favorite so far of the Matt Groening.
Groaning.
I never know how to pronounce it. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it's
not in a bad way.
It's just
least favorite in that I love Simpsons and I love Futurama and Disenchantment. I like plenty.
Yeah.
And it's, we had day-to-day life, then we had Futurama being the spoof on the sci-fi stuff.
Sci-fi tropes and
now the
nerdy
spoof
tropes.
On the fantasy tropes and things like that with Disenchantment. And I think they just do a little too much. I think their story is... I watched it. I'm wait, what? Who is that? What happened?
And we have to wait so long between the seasons.
That's true.
It's just a full year, and I don't remember what was happening.
There's
so
a lot,
many
and it's
characters,
and I bet if I watched it all in one sitting, I would like it.
Well, that was successful. I remember we did that when the third series came out.
Yeah.
We watched the first 2 and then into the third, and it really made a lot more sense.
Yes, you're right. I remember.
But even so, it's like every single time one of the seasons comes out, you have to like start at the beginning in order to make it make sense. It's a little bit of a chore.
Right. But the good thing about that series is that like it does have some really solid moments, as we're talking about, that just like pull you in. Like there's the first one that really got me was they were putting like one of Princess Tia Beanie, which they called Bean, call her Bean. One of her it was just a random servant, right? It was like nobody we knew putting her to sleep.
It was her mother.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was not Dagmar.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
I think it was someone random.
I think it was Dagmar.
Okay, well, this was a long time ago.
Anyway, the point is,
someone was like quieting her to go to sleep, and they're like, shh, 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 shut up. Like, and just like the quiet little shut ups, just like really surprised me, and I laughed so hard for so long.
Shut up.
Shh, 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 shut up. Shh, shut up.
Oh, so funny.
It was so funny. But I swear, we watched one, and there was a moment where like, oh, that's a good one.
And she was like, Or is
again. Is a good one.
But it's like a redo of another one. I think there was a new.
But Or is
so
a really
good.
great,
That's a great
continuous joke.
When Una is thrown to the bottom of the ocean and she says, it is the end of Una. Or is.
Yeah, so
because she has like an accent and
her like catchphrases. Is.
It's so funny.
It's just, and it works. It's a funny joke.
And the frying pan.
Frying pan keeps coming back.
Son's frying pan. Oh my God.
He's afraid of the frying pan. Yeah, give it a watch.
It's interesting. Sure. There's interesting things in it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not my favorite of the Matt Groening shows.
I have notes.
Yeah. All right. So that's my moment
great.
of the week.
Moments of the week. Check. All right, let's move on to the show. We're talking about Mean Girls, the new movie that just came out.
Let's do a little switch hit summary.
Switch hit synopsis.
I know what our podcast is. So it's Mean Girls.
It's Mean Girls. We've got Cady Heron.
She lives in
Africa, and she moves with her mom.
To
the
Evanston.
north side. Yes, to Evanston, and go to Northside High School or whatever, North Shore High School. And when she's there, she's like trying to get acclimated with the social life there, and learns about like all of like the roles in.
Yeah, Janis and Damian teach her about all the cliques.
Yes,
and so. She's trying to decide which one to be in, and she's like, let me just eat lunch with you guys.
Right. But they introduce the Plastics, who introduce themselves to her, and they decide to take her under their wing, and Janis, itching for revenge on them for some undisclosed until later slight, hatches a plan with Cady and Damian to ruin their lives, right? To like set them... set all the Plastics against each other, and
first it's just like surveillance, just like she's gonna be the inside person telling me all the terrible things that she says, and eventually,
but she's got a crush.
She has have a crush on Aaron Samuels,
which is the head Plastic, Regina George's ex, and she confides in Regina. That she has this crush.
No, she
confides in someone else, and Gretchen tells. Right, there's a...
And Regina's like, I'm going to get him back.
And then,
kisses him at a party. And so now Katie's pissed.
Right, and she decides to do harder even what...
no, she then
Janis,
now goes to Janis.
Now she's in it.
And Janis is like, okay... Then we'll have a revenge. Right. That's when that happens.
Got it. Yes. So first it's just clarifying. Like you'd have to tell me all of like the crazy things that they they say.
Now we got to ruin their lives because of this. Right. Because of Aaron Samuels.
I remember.
It's kind of
yes. That's how they're like. Now it's time to do the thing.
Yes.
And they kind of succeed. All the while, Cady kind of becomes
the new queen bee.
The new queen bee and a mean girl. Herself. It all culminates as they have been using this burn book, and she participated a little bit in this burn book, putting in ways of making fun of all these people, and it gets released into the school, and it gets teachers in trouble. It gets all of the students fighting with each other
on the interwebs, and
right.
And then they have to have the big assembly where they share their feelings,
and it's revealed this whole plot. Janice reveals this whole plot,
revenge plot,
and
then Regina gets hit by a bus.
Yep, while they're fighting, she gets hit by a bus, and then Cady kind of has to atone for having become a mean girl herself.
Yes.
And eventually kind of makes nice, gets elected homecoming queen, ostensibly because they think she pushed her into the bus. And she shares her crown with everybody around and tries to like makes up with everybody.
Ever after everyone lives.
Yeah.
So it's not too different.
No.
Generally plot-wise from the original movie.
Right. Generally, it's the same.
Yeah. It does not stray very far from the original plot.
The only things they add in, it's takes place today, so it adds in technological elements. So there's a lot of like virality. They have TikTok videos.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So there was a movie.
Yep.
Very popular.
Yeah.
All the quotable lines. And then after that, a while later, they made a musical that was on Broadway. Did pretty well. And now the movie is now a reimagined. It's a kind of combining both-ish.
Yeah.
Where it's taking the musical, putting it back into film, but still trying to. Of course, the musical harkened back to the movie.
Right, of course.
I will say this is a case in which I have not seen the musical.
Right. Same.
I have seen obviously both movies.
So I don't know how true it is.
I don't know how much the musical is different than the movie. Obviously, it's on stage, so there has to be a lot of things that are different.
Yes, of course.
But so bring it back to movie, we're also trying to regain some of the things that were popular, well known from the first movie.
Right.
They
the
wanna
iconic
get
moments.
some of the spirit while like bringing it into a new era.
Right.
And keeping the music. So it's a lot. There's a lot of things going on.
Right.
And so there are things changed. So some of it being the music, obviously, and fitting in the music, and the other things being updating the story.
Right.
Generally, I guess those are the things. Of course, like the thing about it is the original movie is so good. It's iconic.
I know.
So it is going to be impossible to look at it kind of separate from that. No, because it won't be, because we won't.
Yeah.
It's just like we can say like, yeah, if it was by itself, but it's not. And so it's like kind of impossible to judge. We can try to say like, if I was, 14, 15, I didn't know about the original movie. I didn't know about the musical.
What would I think of this?
What would I think of this?
Yeah.
And of course, like part of that is like, I am not a part of that. The younger generation. Yeah. Like Gen Z there are very specific Gen Z things and jokes and formats of jokes and like the use of internet as a medium within the movie is just very different than like the original movie. We look at there's three-way calls. That was like a big deal.
Yeah, a three-way call. Yeah.
And there is use the
burn book is proliferated by photo album, or by photocopy.
Yeah.
They just photocopied all the pages and like distributed them around the school. And this one they didn't. I was wondering, cause she drops the book and
yes, she drops.
I'm wondering what is she doing? Oh, of course they all just have phones and they're just gonna share it from there.
They post it one time, everyone sees it.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be 100 pieces of paper
right.
all around the school.
Yeah.
For everyone to see these things. And that was very interesting. I actually saw I don't remember an article or something where Tina Fey was talking about apparently Tina Fey had asked her children about it's like, should the burn book not be a book? They're like, it can be a book, Mom. It was like, There's a lot of stuff
Should
like
be
that.
a live journal.
Let's speak about like,
I know.
That's
like
worse.
ancient. I know.
Much
I know.
worse. A live journal. Jesus Christ. But yes, the burn book is the burn book is still a physical book.
Yeah.
But the way it gets spread
It's different.
is like, but they're like, should it be paper? And they're like, well, no, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take the time. Who knows how to use a photocopier these days? I do not know.
I do.
Well, you're 100 years old, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, because it strikes me now that like Mean Girls is like worse. Like it would be worse for them now than in 2004. So it's like the first movie's in 2004, and it's like harder now for teenagers. Like it's easier to like fall into
Yes. Okay.
despair because of your it's just easier to become a social pariah because of all of the social media stuff. It's just like it's that easy.
I guess. I mean, we talk about social media being like the thing that both separates and connects.
Yeah.
So it can be both.
Sure, of
because
course.
it can also easily connect people who are feeling like social pariahs with other people far away.
Sure.
So
Right.
in that sense, I do feel like there's an element of, we do have to account for the differences in both the positive and the negative ways. And some of these updates were interesting.
Yeah.
Like the use of technology generally. I thought Burn Book makes a lot of sense. Instead of talking heads, just like it looks like the original is like very documentary style. We're like interviewing the students as we go. And instead of that, we're seeing essentially like TikToks.
Just TikToks of people like talking
about the situations that are happening.
Right. And like in the first, it's not like documentary as much as it is like we're supposed to be on the receiving end of a conversation. Like someone says like, did you hear about blah, 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 blah. Oh, dude, I heard that this. And it's like, you're the other person in this high schooler's conversation. So
Yeah,
you're like
sure.
simulating that it's like the rumor mill's going, but the rumor mill now is the TikToks. Which is wild to me. That's like, I do not envy anyone in high school today.
No, it does feel like it is harder to keep things private generally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in that, there's like, knowing that, I don't know, there's also a power in being like, well, they know if they did that, everyone could see it the next day. It's like when Facebook really started taking off and you started getting, you started posting from the night before.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Don't post that. Untag me. Delete that.
Yeah.
But when that was new, it was scary. It was like, oh my God, no one can know that I do that. And eventually it was like, well, now I know that it's always happening. People are always taking pictures. People are always filming and doing X, Y, Z.
Stop it. Like it's too much hygiene.
But it changes the way we act.
Right. That too. Yeah.
Those uninhibited parties aren't the same.
Yeah.
They can't be. They changed. I mean, I remember them changing. Like when it was like, what you realized, like, oh, that can't happen in a public space.
Right.
Like we can't actually like act like an ass. Like it can happen if I know who's in the room and that I trust them and whatever. They're all in on it, whatever.
It made everywhere the public square.
Yes. And I think that does make a difference.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So it does change the way we act. It does. So one of the things watching this movie, within the updates for today's society, zeitgeist, culture, whatever you want to call it, they also one of the things that struck me is how much, I don't know, tamer. It's not. It doesn't feel as they're not like. Jokes aren't risky. People aren't as mean.
Yeah.
It takes away some of the
bite,
but it's like, but maybe that is kind of true to life. I'm wondering because people are afraid. I bet, young people especially are afraid to say things that are maybe risky or
the fact that we are being watched all the time.
We have this, all
because of the TikToks and everything,
the cancel cultures and the things where if you say the wrong thing or
so you actually end up
the wrong groups,
it
whatever.
might not actually be. There might not be as much bite these days. That's true.
I mean, because you think about, even when we were that age, we were idolizing people that were mean and popular.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of media that was we look at Sex Education. We just watched that, and you saw that new school that they ended up in, and it's it's the people that they were policing the social situations where they're we really don't appreciate if you're mean or if you gossip or
right.
That actually is now the power wielding.
Right. Yeah.
There's a little bit of that. Of course,
that's interesting.
I'm not a young person.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's where the mean maybe is happening actually on the internet, right? It's
yes.
In person, it's not. And then when it's comments and things.
Yeah.
It ends up being more. There's an less inhibited when it's on the other side of the screen. And it's also under your control a little bit. Whereas if you're just out and about, you'll curb your behavior because you can actually get that out without having to confront someone directly.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And so,
because that was my complaint really about the film. One of them is that it does lose some of its bite, but I hadn't think of it that way.
And I guess
context.
I'm wondering if the loss of bite that we feel, if it's actually lost to the younger generation. If they feel,
are they feeling the bite?
The bite. I don't know. I can't.
Then what does the first movie feel like to them?
I mean,
does it feel sloppy? Does it feel
sloppy?
Not even bite. It's just I don't know,
it's easy,
inelegant. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're not used to that kind of
really overt, rude. Boo you whore.
Mm-hmm.
There's none of that. That does not happen.
I mean, they use slurs.
Yeah.
They use the R word and
right.
They don't call Janis a pyrolez.
Right.
They call her
what?
A word. I'm not gonna say it.
Why not?
Because I wanna.
Okay. Yeah. Right. That's interesting. That I guess it. That puts it into different contexts. It's is it worth making today? And
why not?
Well, because I guess the point being if that's the story, is there a better story to tell that conveys today's Mean Girls, right? Or is this,
I don't know.
Is that what this is? Does it actually translate? I'd be curious.
I guess part of it is we won't know. And, we were young and at correct high school age when the original Mean Girls came out.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is it wasn't just made with the humor of the times. It created the humor of the times.
Yeah, it sure did. Mm-hmm.
And so it's really hard to judge it because so many how many quotes in that original do people just use in their daily life and
Let's
don't
count
even
them.
remember?
Cool mom. I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
Yeah. I just said that the other day because we talked about that as a joke.
Yeah.
And it got a huge laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's always funny now.
Yeah. It's very funny.
You use it. Now you can replace
anything. It doesn't have to be mom.
I'm not a regular blank. I'm a cool blank.
Right.
You can just replace it.
And people don't even realize that they're laughing because it's from that movie. Or maybe they do, but it's
or maybe they do, or maybe they don't, and it's still kind of funny. It's still just a funny joke.
A little bit funny, yeah.
It's just it is a good setup and punchline because it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It's funny. It's funny.
Right.
And they changed. And so okay, let's look at, so there's obviously a lot of iconic moments in the original.
Right.
If we're looking at the nitty gritty, some of those things they obviously wanted to like take and highlight and give reverence to.
Yeah, give us our homages. Yeah.
And how do you think those turned out?
It was kind of 50-50. There were, I think the most successful was probably Damian's stuff, like the things that Damian's, because the original Damian is hilarious, like some of the most quotable things. You go, Glen Coco, you know, none for Gretchen Wiener, goodbye. Should I even go here? And
great iconic lines.
Like fantastic, really just memorable stuff that was quoted my entire high school time and after, right? It's all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who plays the new Damian, was the most successful at doing that because he really like was able to pay homage to it, but make it his own as well. And was very funny.
Yes,
and it's like,
so
and
funny.
part of that is just like, he's not like trying to do anything. He seems to just be like a funny person.
I think that was true of the first Damian too.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's just kind of this, I'm just going to bring myself, and it's like you cast the right person and they say the lines and this is going to be great, you know?
Yeah. Jaquel Spivey.
And so,
and he's so, I think he does it well where he says the line, doesn't try to make a joke of it, but he's just a funny person. His like character is.
Yeah. It's like if we had cast him in the original one, it would have been very funny.
Absolutely.
And it would have been his own way. And he's not emulating anybody else, but there's something about just giving the line its due that just, I mean, probably that's why it feels connected to the old, is because they both are just kind of like, I'm just going to say the line.
But he also has some of my favorite new lines too.
Yeah.
Because he's just
improvisations.
He's just funny.
Yeah, he's just funny. Yeah. As far as some other things, like there are some moments, like I think that
we talk about the cool mom
moment does not work for me.
Sure.
Because the original cool mom is Amy Poehler and is batshit crazy. And they almost like did too much now. They like gave her too much. She like has this whole thing where it's like, well, now I've got this handle. I'm going to give you my...
For that joke.
For that particular joke. It's like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. It's cool mom at blah, 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 blah. I'm
cool mom at.
Yeah.
Or I'm at cool mom with three zeros, whatever.
And it's just they gave her a little too much, and maybe she was like pushing a little too hard.
With
and it just doesn't land as well. Because it's just like, almost like trying to do an Amy Poehler maybe.
I don't know.
Not even really.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It just wasn't, it didn't land for me.
I mean, I think Busy Phillips is a great choice for the mom. She was funny.
Sure.
I mean, like, but like my favorite line for her was when she's like, they're getting her to bring the burn book out. Like, so the setup for that is like, she's like, I was in your closet earlier and I found this thing. And Regina's like, why were you in my closet? And the joke is like, oh my God. Well, I was doing that Japanese cleaning thing where you take a little nap in the closet.
Oh my God. That is so funny.
Freaking funny.
What a good line.
It's a good line.
That's
it made
funny.
me laugh real hard.
Yeah.
But some of the new jokes land a little better than some of the old
ones.
jokes.
Yeah.
And some like,
I think about the October 3rd.
October 3rd, yeah. I was just about to go there too.
It doesn't work because that's like in the original.
Yeah, it flies by. The thing is, it wasn't.
That's like the first time he talks to her in the original.
No.
Isn't it?
I just rewatched it.
Oh.
It's not the first time he talks to her, no. It is like, it literally flies by.
Yeah.
It's like, it was after she was told not to talk to him. And so she wasn't. And then she's like, I guess I can't talk to him, but I can't look at him. And then it started building up because he started asking her questions.
Okay.
And so he's like, what day is it? It's October 3rd. And that's it. Very quick. And it keeps moving.
Yeah. Well, and therein lies, I think, probably my biggest complaint about the whole thing is that they take these moments, especially ones that are memorable, and give them a musical treatment.
Yes.
And that's not, it's not as a rule a bad thing to do, but it messes with our pacing. So we've got that moment, as you say, it flies by. So for some reason, it's like really memorable to everybody. It's like, oh, it's Mean Girls Day. It's October 3rd. It's just like a weird little, it's October 3rd.
Because it's the understated, like we were very into the understated humor. And I think they're bigger and broader now with their comedy
are.
just generally. They're
so now it's not actually funny.
Because they're, sure. Well, to us.
Sure. I wonder if it's funny to anybody else. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
It didn't feel like it was even intended to be funny.
Yeah.
Other than just like how broad it is. Like, oh my God, it's October 3rd. It's like we're making a big deal of this little thing.
Because we know it was
a big deal before.
A big deal.
Right.
Well, we're just like saying, we know, we got it.
Right.
And those moments I do feel kind of, they're meta in a way. I don't know. They didn't play with the meta enough.
Yeah.
To make that, to justify it for me.
Yeah. And it didn't, I think about when we saw, Pretty Woman musical on West End, and that it has a similar function, right? There were some things that they would do,
but they didn't. Okay, but the thing we liked that, and we liked that they took some of these iconic moments and gave them to us. But it's because they gave us the moments. They didn't musicalize the moments,
right? They just did it again and really well.
Yes.
And there's only like 2 of them.
Yeah, it was 2. Maybe 3. There's like some imagery. There's like, but like they don't. They made like these beautiful like images with them.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I don't know. They weren't like, look, it's here.
Yeah.
And Pretty Woman wasn't really a comedy. So they're not falling into the trap of. I mean, it was funny. It was like not a comedy. It was a comedy.
It is, but it
definitely is a comedy. But I mean, like they weren't trying to redo jokes.
Right.
That's the thing is like, and make things that weren't jokes that were memorable into jokes. Mm-hmm. That's part of what it is. Because October 3rd is not a joke.
It's not really a joke. Yeah.
It's not.
It's funny,
like
but it's not a joke.
Not a joke.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that it was like funny at the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't popular.
Right.
It was like funny. It was silly, but it wasn't like a ha-ha joke.
And part of it is the delivery of it, isn't it?
Of what?
Of like how that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's literally just like very understated.
Because then she's like, and then there was October 3rd or something like that. Like, I wish I knew exactly how the line goes.
Yeah, it was something like.
Because it is like the repetition of.
And then he asked me a question on October 3rd.
What day is it? October 3rd. Yes. That's funny.
That is the joke. Sure.
Yes. And that's why that's funny. And it's like in this one, they gave it a little music behind it and made it this important thing. And I was like, why is this important? It was so strange.
They also try to do that. One thing that bugged me is they try to take some of those moments and stretch it out, like make more of those moments. Mm-hmm. Like then she's asking about gum
right.
in the new movie. She's like, oh, do you like gum? And he's like, yeah. And it like holds out a hand. And she's like, oh, I don't have any. Like things like that. And then there's many of those moments. They like happen a lot of times.
Yeah.
There was
They were trying to do a rules of 3 thing, but it ended up just like extending an awkward joke. Then it's like, but we got it. We didn't actually it didn't escalate well.
So what I was noticing, I rewatched not the whole thing, but as much as the new one or the old one as I could today, just to refresh myself and to feel what would be different because it feels very different.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like something gets lost when you're changing a medium, obviously. Yeah. And so we have to expect it to feel and be different.
Right.
When you look at something like Beetlejuice, which we, had a whole podcast episode about.
Sure.
When you change it to another medium, there has to be something that's different.
Yeah.
You have to say like, this is not going to work on stage now with music.
Right.
And how and why, obviously.
Yeah.
The original really feels like short little sketches, just like sketch after sketch after sketch. It's fast. It is kind of nonstop.
Yeah.
Like bit to bit to bit to bit.
The pace is like really clipping.
Yes. There are, it's easy to make a musical if a movie already has like big empty spaces.
Yeah.
Like if they have long montages, great. If there's long periods where characters aren't talking, perfect.
Right.
If like it's really difficult. Otherwise, it is trickier to take these moments that are short and expand them.
Right.
Because then we're changing what the story is.
Yeah, we're changing what made it effective in the first place and eating into other moments.
Yes.
Because it is so precise in its comedy that if you start making, say, for example, October 3rd really long, whatever came after October 3rd is going to suffer now.
Sure. And that's, if we're looking at the micro and the specific jokes, but looking at the piece and how it's changed from the movie, obviously we have to skip the musical because we don't really know it.
Yeah.
We could talk about the music itself, which we will.
Sure.
But like, let's just take a look at those. We talked about some of those updates, adding music, changing the medium.
Yeah.
Because it's now, even keeping it a movie, now we are changing the medium by making it a musical movie.
Right. Yes.
That does change.
Because the genre is certainly different. Yeah.
You have to. And so it changes from, to me, it changes from a pretty strict comedy to more of like a dramedy. Like,
yeah, it's a little bit of a psychological dramedy, like a psychological thriller almost, but
there's
lighter. It's like lighthearted psychological thriller.
Some of those elements were my favorite updates. So I will say, even though it's difficult to do, I don't think it's impossible to obviously like change a movie structure or change a story structure. Obviously, the movie itself was adapted from a book, and I'm sure it changed wildly.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's from what I remember hearing about. It's nothing. It's just inspired by it. It's like there is nothing really
very different
related. Yeah,
and so it's fine. And like again, trying to like take ourselves out of. I'm not even trying to do that, I guess. Even knowing that it was something different first, there is a way to enjoy it. Because I love Beetlejuice, the movie, and I wasn't really annoyed by the musical.
Right.
I enjoyed it. And I would say the same thing from movie to musical movie.
Yeah.
For me. I was not...
okay. You mean for Mean Girls?
Mean Girls. For Mean Girls.
Yeah.
From movie to musical movie.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like, it's not the most successful transition between the two, but I still had fun, and I felt like they kept enough of the silliness. I still was able to have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun. I think it's just, if I wanted to watch it again, and we'll get to this when we do our ratings, but if I wanted to watch it again, I would watch the first one. Like, I wouldn't watch this one again if I needed to do this story. I might watch clips because there's some music that's like fantastic. But like, if I want this story, they didn't change it enough to justify the musical.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point about like, even that it's like, it slips from being that straight up comedy into something a little bit darker. And maybe it would have been better if they'd really just leaned into that.
I'm going to agree with you. I think that
Like,
is why I wasn't I'm not like a screaming fanatic about it.
Yeah.
Because there's I think there are moments that are really cool and really interesting, and they are undercut by trying to be too funny, silly, cheesy,
right,
goofy on the other side.
Right.
When they have some really cool, dark and serious and really intense moments.
Yeah. The only reason why
Regina George's music, I think, is excellent
Yeah.
in the movie.
Right.
I've listened to. I will also say I haven't listened to the Broadway Mean Girls a lot.
Yeah.
But especially when this movie came out, I have listened. I've compared. And I will say the updates to the music it's
really
much
good.
better.
It's really, really great.
Minus
compared.
Cady Heron's the actress who plays her singing is just and it makes her songs, because her songs are less interesting, and they're the cheesier. They make her a little bit more two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Where she's kind of I'm kind of innocent and don't really know, a lot longer.
Yeah.
Than Lindsay Lohan was.
Right.
I mean, Lindsay Lohan, going
she
back and
adapts
rewatching it,
real quick.
Whatever her neutral is, feels really neutral. It's very, it's wild how I'm at the beginning, she's so, how it takes me aback at one point. I'm like, wait a minute, when did that happen? Her transition is so seamless.
Yeah.
It's excellent. And there's a moment in the new musical that I'm like, are you, what's happening? Did you just change?
Yeah.
I think they don't give her even they kind of do. I guess they kind of do.
Yeah,
it's just not that effective.
No,
to me.
Agreed. I imagine if they had given it not that I watched the Netflix one, but the Sabrina treatment.
Sure.
You know, it's we have Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then we've got Sabrina on Netflix, which is this dark thing, and they're the same characters, similar, some kind of expanded story. But imagine if they'd given it that. Yeah. You have these iconic characters, and think about what they're doing to each other.
Yeah.
That is some psychological warfare there. They are really taking control of each other. It's status story up the wazoo, right? It's we're in House of Cards land. It's worth that.
Right.
The stakes are that high, where it's just not in the government. It's in high school.
Right.
If they had really leaned into it, because you can see glimpses of it in some of the staging when you see even just the first. All of Regina George's music, as you said, where it's really interesting seeing her sing, My Name is Regina George, and everyone else is frozen.
They do some cool stuff. With just her, not just her stuff.
No, but it's mostly her stuff.
Her stuff. I'm I don't have any notes on the scenes where Regina George is singing.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And let's talk about Renan Rapp for just a second.
Sure.
I am obsessed with her.
I think she's really good.
I've been obsessed since she was in the Jimmy Awards, because I'm
you're a nerd.
The weirdo theater nerd that watches the Jimmy Awards. The
Jimmy Awards, which, if you don't know, tell us what the Jimmy Awards are.
It's a high school theater award where they and they have everyone nominated sing clips from their
whatever show. Yeah.
So it is you get to see these young high school kids with much too much talent for their worth. And there's a variety. We see some kids not as good and some kids really amazing. You see such a variety, and it's just I think it's fun. And she has an amazing song from Chaplin that she sings, and I just remember being who the frick is that? And it was very soon after that she got into Mean Girls on Broadway.
Yeah.
It's once she graduated high school, it was only a couple of years before she was working professionally in theater.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And she's so good. She's so good vocally.
Yeah.
She
can act the shit out of it. She's funny at the end too. She's so
funny.
Yeah. Cause she's that was thinking what surprised me the most, because she's so dark and mean and focused and very grounded. She's like really just like, she commands the screen. And then when she's like been hit by the bus and she's got her like
her neck brace on
and she's like on drugs. It's very funny. She's like so goofy.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
She's goofy in
character
still.
Yeah.
She's
so
not
funny.
Like, it's not like a wild departure from who she is. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. I was very impressed with her.
I
really
think
liked her.
She's
and
excellent.
she sounds so good.
I mean, vocally, because she also has a great album too. So it's like she's great.
Yeah.
She's perfect for this role, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And exciting to see someone in a movie musical that can sing. And honestly,
everyone except for Cady Heron. Yeah.
She can. Cady Heron can sing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not the worst movie musical. I am like still gobsmacked that they chose someone who isn't the best singer to be the lead is wild to me.
That's really, and there is nothing really else about the performance that really was like, oh, that's why they chose her. I guess the red hair, maybe. I don't know.
Sure,
it's just like it was. It
There's
didn't.
plenty of red-haired people in the world.
Yeah, right. And probably ones who can sing. But it's. I think too. It was so disappointing because I was thinking about this. Like, what was as you said, she's not that bad. Not like bad. Horrible, but there's like just no presence in it, and it's like that. Getting nerdy. It's like that singer's form, and she doesn't have it at all.
Yeah, she just doesn't. She
and
just
so
doesn't sound like she's a singer.
It just doesn't. I didn't understand like a thing she was singing.
And the music wasn't. It didn't suit that. The connection of that kind of under singing. Because this you can talk sing.
Yeah.
And it can be very effective. And
there's even a moment that she does it really well. There is a moment in there where I was like, why didn't you do it? Like, it's the one where they're talking about how they're going to win and she's going to get the boy at the end. And she has this line that she sings. And it's really great. And I was like, why didn't you just do that the rest of the time?
Yes. Sure.
Because it's mostly just spoken. She really just talks the thing.
Right.
And I'm like, you could have just done that. I don't even care that it's not the prettiest voice.
Yeah.
You have to communicate something because you're really just not.
The thing is that it doesn't matter if you're the greatest singer, but because there have been plenty of people that aren't. I mean, Elaine Stritch is not a great singer, but she is fantastic.
Yes.
She can perform while singing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the vocal quality. Carol Channing, she doesn't sing
what a
well.
Weirdo. Yeah. Weird voices.
It's weird.
Yeah.
She sings 2 notes. I mean, B. Arthur has a small range, does have a particularly nice sounding voice.
Yeah.
B. Arthur can sing.
Right.
But makes a very small range really interesting.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to have lots of range. You don't even have to it doesn't have to be super pretty. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah.
You just have to be performing. But I think the biggest problem is these songs, the songs that Cady sings already, I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I just don't like the there's a What If song and I think it's called What If.
Yeah.
And then Stupid in Love, but Smart in Math. Smart in Math, but Stupid in Love, which is, it sounds so, it's cheesy.
Yeah.
It's already, you're starting cheesy.
And it's also not really, there are some of these songs that they did that it's another instance of they expand something that doesn't really need to be expanded. That's not the central. That's not her central conflict.
No,
that's not her problem. Isn't that she's dumb in love?
No,
but good at math. It
just is a cute. It feels like a cute concept. They're like, oh yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah,
because she isn't good at this, but is good at this, and so there is conflict between those two things in the show. In the original movie, she pretends to be stupid at math to get
sure.
There is something about that, but it doesn't. It really is. I've seen a clip of it online where a lot of people are like, we didn't know it was a musical, which, I did obviously because I was excited that the musical was going to be a movie. But a lot of people didn't know going in, which I think that's a mistake in the marketing to not
make that clear.
Make it and set like you
set
you
that
have
expectation.
To tell people that that's why you're excited about it.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Well, I mean, whatever backlash they're getting is probably because of the broken expectation. Not
Absolutely.
Like if they had just told people, yeah, you're going to get people who don't like it and they're not going to go see it because it's a musical. You'll get some people who do go see it to get a musical. The vast majority don't give a shit one way or another. They just don't like being misled.
Right. But also, like, to your point, where is you're expanding, I don't like added backstory where there doesn't need to be backstory.
Yeah.
I think it's like a killer.
Yeah.
Like if you're adding exposition to a story, you're doing something wrong.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
And that's what that song feels like it's doing.
Yeah.
When you have to add, you never need more exposition. You never need more exposition. That's the thing about that's part of that movie is it's clips and you don't know things. You just
accept it. You keep going. You learn it as you need it. And that is not a thing we need to know.
Yes.
It's just extra stuff. And it's not unlike the Gretchen Wiener song.
Yeah, the Gretchen Wiener song I'm not as mad about.
It extends and makes... It extends that conflict that she's having as, the friend and shows us as there's a vulnerability there. The thing is that we see that in the original movie and we don't need to be told that and beaten over the head with it.
Yeah, okay. But the reason I think there's something really interesting about seeing her introspective about that. I do. Just and it's small and it's short and I think I do like that they do it slow and then fast. I don't know, something about that is, but they again, it does feel like there's pieces of it that are they have to justify it with a weird story about my abuelita gave me this thing or whatever. Yeah. And I'm and they do that where I'm and it's almost not enough where I'm are you saying that she took your grandma's thing and this is something that's important to you and you miss it?
Right.
You do miss this object that she took from you because it's, she has that moment where she's she's so mean. She hoops are her thing. And then I had to give up the hoops these white gold hoops that my parents gave me. So there's things that that make sense.
Yeah.
That I get it. And I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to expand that I like expanding a little bit of her inner world. I think that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I think maybe I just wish it was a little shorter. If it was just one
it feels
musical phrase, that would have been really interesting.
And here's the thing with all musicals is
every character needs a song.
Well,
boo.
I don't love. That was
it's interesting. Aaron doesn't have a song. And that's really interesting.
Mom, which I was thank God.
Really interesting. Yeah.
Who knows about the musical?
Right.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But so many musicals are afraid, and I'm glad going back to if there are songs for those people in the musicals. I'm sure those characters sing
something.
Generally.
Yeah. But I'm glad
that
they
cut it down.
Yeah.
Because
they didn't need it.
They shouldn't be afraid. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite moments.
Okay.
Later. I'll save it. Because I like it so much. I will not forget. But I just lost my train of thought though. What were we just talking about?
We were talking about eliminating songs.
Yeah, they're not afraid. They weren't afraid to do some cutting of the music. I know they left out a lot of music, and they weren't afraid to be it doesn't need that much music. Great.
Yeah.
Just because it's a musical doesn't mean that it needs to have full-length songs every 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
We don't need that.
Right.
And songs can be shorter. Songs can be a little nothing.
Yeah.
I think things like Bob's Burgers where they have one song once a season.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish there's something about like the way things get chopped up in that first one, where we're like going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between lots of things, when they're like, well, if you think about it on a stage show, obviously you can't do that.
Right.
You can't just like jump cut.
Yeah.
You have to
too
like
much. You have to combine things together or find a way to montage it, which is a good opportunity to make a song. So if you can figure out how to do that.
I think Revenge Party, if we're talking about that, Revenge Party is the best one that they do.
Yeah.
Where they combine a lot of things and make it a montage song.
Yeah.
They're giving the plans, but also showing some of the next steps without actually having to do them.
Right.
I think it does it well in storytelling.
Yeah.
It's one of the better times where they were actually able to do that. Where they're using it to pass time instead of using it to expand inner moments.
Yeah.
And the rest of the songs are feeling like they're expanding inner moments.
Yeah.
And so it gets, the thing is like, in the original movie, we're in Cady's head the whole time. We are not in the musical movie.
Yeah.
We are like the
we're
narrators.
Kind of like we're watching the narrators are Janis and Damian. So we're really watching theirs from their perspective.
Right. We are seeing it through their perspective, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just takes something away in that, like, now you're having her say everything that's in her head out loud, and it just feels a little stunted. And like, it's interesting if it's like, and that's what some of the jokes are very funny because of the back and forth between what people are saying out loud and what she's saying to herself in her head.
Yeah.
Very funny moments.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Like all those moments where she's here, like where she's reacting to things in her head.
Yeah.
Because that like is so informative of her character.
Right.
And I think it would make so much sense if that character didn't sing at all.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you say, I know you're the main character, but you don't sing at all? You can't. Like, it's not going to happen.
I mean,
I think that would be great. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah.
Make roles in musicals for amazing actors
who don't sing,
who don't have to sing.
Yeah. Even lead roles.
Even lead roles, especially lead roles. I think that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
I find that all the time where they're like, even in Pretty Woman, like my one thing, I was like, the Richard Gere character doesn't have to sing.
He didn't really have to sing at all. Yeah.
We don't need to see every single inner moment in your head.
Right.
And I do think sometimes that undercuts it.
Yeah.
That is one of my biggest complaints about movies that turn into musicals, is that like, I do think that it's interesting expanding, seeing what is in people's head, but it's used way too freaking much.
Yeah.
And even though I like the moment with Gretchen, I think it's an interesting song, and it's like,
yeah,
like, what's wrong with me? Maybe it's you, maybe it's me.
I think there's something really interesting about that. And it is, I think, probably I'm thinking about the length, because then it ended up being awkward where it's like Cady's then just like standing in the room and being like, okay. When like a lot of the rest of the film, we're outside of reality when singing's happening. And that's like a moment when we're not outside of reality when singing's happening. It's a little strange.
That's true. That's true.
I just wish it was like a private moment then. I just want to see Gretchen Wiener sing that thing so that we as an audience just get like a moment
I think there's
of binding us to that character.
I like having a moment of Cady being like, I don't really understand what's going on. But it can be short.
It can be short, yeah. Because it could be just like a moment, like if we were to follow that paradigm where it's like, when we're singing, we're actually outside of reality, and then we come back into reality. Cady is walking in the closet with Gretchen Wieners. Gretchen picks up this thing and suddenly freezes just looking at her reflection in the mirror. That's what Cady sees. Mm-hmm. What we see is Gretchen sing. So of course it makes sense there'd be a moment that Cady's like, are you okay? Right. Because she just sang this whole thing in her head.
Right.
But instead we had this like interaction with the music. It was just like really... It
was kind of weird.
A little weird. So as I'm not generally mad about the Gretchen Wieners having like more of a story. That's fine, because I think it's important for us to actually see. That's not a bad choice.
It's not.
It's not my Gretchen, who's like the number 2, queen bee, most loyal friend, having those doubts.
Yeah, and you kind of want to see. I mean, like if I think about a stage show, characters like the Three Plastics, I want them to sing.
Yeah.
And I wish there was like some like Heather's trio moments.
Yeah.
Just generally in Heather's, they have like the three main girl and they sing together and it's like really killer.
Yeah. That'd be great.
There's something interesting about them being like, they're not actually a cohesive unit. Mm-hmm. There's something interesting about that.
Yeah.
I like that they don't have to choose that.
Yeah.
But it is something that I love.
It's kind of an expectation as like a musical theater fan.
Three women
singing
together, like three, like
belting. Like that sounds really fun.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's so
missed
good.
opportunity maybe.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. But also like an okay choice that they didn't sing that much.
Yes. Yeah.
And
the song choices they each had were appropriate for them.
Yes. Yes. They didn't give him too much. And because like the girl who played Karen is not, I also don't think she is necessarily the greatest singer, but she didn't have to be. And she just sold it.
She's so funny.
I think she is very, very funny. Cause she does sexy, which is, expanding it's fun to have like, I'm okay, obviously, like with some like just straight up dance number breaks in these movies and in any show. That's fine. Obviously, I like musicals generally.
Right.
I'm okay with it. If it's fun, if it's serving a purpose, it doesn't have to be like an amazing plot furtherer for it to be
exciting.
To be exciting, to be part of the good storytelling. I would say.
Right. Good morning. It's fun to stay up late.
I love that song.
That song's so good, and it's such a good dance break, and it's not actually furthering any plot.
No,
it's just development of the world.
And it does develop. It's something. It feels exciting. It gets you.
It gets you into the place.
Into it, and that's the other like.
That's a beautiful thing about musicals. Yeah,
for the party. Let's do.
We're at a party. Show us the party. Show us what the world is like.
And we're not just like gonna switch like to like Good Morning. It's not an easy emotion necessarily to like be in, where it's like, oh my gosh, we did this. We stayed up all night and we have a thing. How exciting is that?
Yeah,
there's like an excitement about that. If we just tell you, we're not necessarily like in on it.
Right.
But if we expand it, like we can come with you now.
Right.
And
it's important to have this moment of excitement at the Halloween party because it's going to turn in a minute.
Yes.
Oh, we're having so much fun.
Setup.
I get to be sexy on Halloween and we have this whole big party. And now shit's going to hit the fan.
We're setting it up that like, this is just silly fun. This is just high school. This isn't serious.
Yeah.
We're dressing up like regular things, but sexy. Like funny, silly. She takes it very seriously. It's fun.
Yeah. And we have Cady, who then comes and doesn't realize that she did get the memo, right? And as she comes in and she actually looks scary. Putting her even on the outside more.
Yes.
Like she's fish out of water for sure.
And they made that reaction bigger, the scared reaction of people. Because
they're like, oh my God, who is that?
They literally are like, jump.
Everybody else is scared, is sexy, and she's scary.
Yes. And I think like, especially because they made the moment where Regina, seduces Aaron Samuels back with
it's so
somebody
eerie.
Gets hurt.
Oof.
It is so eerie. It is so dark. And because you just had this stupid, silly song that like, it's so much more powerful. It's like I love that part of the movie.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting because you have to, it's that representation of like, things aren't that serious, but underneath, because like ostensibly the party is continuing, right? As we saw in Sexy, right?
Right.
That's how the party is, but we're actually seeing like the inner, like this is what's happening underneath. This is the slow burn rhythm that's actually beating underneath this wild party is somebody gets hurt. And I think I think it's an important juxtaposition to put.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a pointless, useless,
no,
fun number. It's important for establishing what we actually need to know about this world.
Talking about setting up our expectations in the correct way.
Yeah.
I think it helps us get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And it does it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It lets us off the, like, we get to let our guard down now.
Right.
And we just get slapped in the face, I think. I think in terms of really great updates, I think that song, Someone Gets Hurt, Till Someone Gets Hurt, Someone Gets Hurt. I think it's just Someone Gets Hurt. Which is great. Great title.
It's a fantastic song.
It's a great song, and I think it's a great moment, and it is great on screen. One thing this movie does, I think very, very well, is choreography.
Yeah.
And choreography in movie musicals, I've been like, other than like West Side Story, which is always fantastic. Yeah. Like I was underwhelmed by In the Heights. Mm-hmm. I get like, I've watched a lot of things in general where I'm like, you're over choreographing everything. Why are we over choreographing just everything?
Yeah. They did pretty well for this one, I think.
Again, we're okay keeping it really minimal. Yeah. And there's like very few times where I'm like, oh, that's dance moves. Yeah. Which is, I think, is excellent choreography. If you're not like, oh, good dance moves. Oh, look at those steps. I like the steps.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think in terms of music, there's some good music and there's some music that I would still cut.
I would still cut
I
some,
think like because I was saying
updates
earlier,
were pretty good.
I've seen like clips of people watching that scene where she meets Aaron Samuels for the first time, and when they cut to the song, everyone in the theater goes, "Oh!"
That's how I felt.
Because and I do feel like it is set up, and it's not done very.
It is not earned.
No, it is not. It is. I just think it's a bad song, and
it's a bad song. And again, it undermines what we already established is like her want.
Yeah.
And not her internal need and big picture desire, it doesn't actually have anything to do with math or love.
Yeah.
She actually needs to mature, right? She needs to become she needs to find wisdom is like the whole thing, and it's not about like love.
But the thing is, even that much, even at the beginning where she's like, I really, because they show them in Africa and they show the mom's decision to do this, and it's Cady being like, I want something. They give her an I want song. Yeah. Which like,
they didn't really need it.
They don't need it. The original movie starts on the first day of...
She's just in school.
Yeah. And it's not... We don't know if she wants to be there. We don't know if she's excited. And that's the thing is like, she can have those conflicting feelings and not have it feel like, oh, great, I'm theater ingenue lady that gets to go on an adventure and I'm going to take on the world. What's really brilliant about, and I think it's what lets Lindsay Lohan just stay neutral, we don't know what her wants are.
Well, she doesn't.
Other than she wants to exist. She walks in and she's an alien, and she's just like,
I just want to make it on the other side.
I just need to know how to exist.
I mean, what a good idea if they had like even gone through with the imagery of like having come from Africa. Like they do it a little bit in the movie better, I think, than like the only mention they really have here is like Apex Predator in the new movie, that song where it's like, but if she's like, I'm an expert of wildlife and that's what we were doing over there, and now I'm like the scared meerkat who is just going to like poke her head out and make sure everything is okay, and I'm going to keep my head down. My goal is to survive. And that's like it. Yeah. I want to be a survivor, and then she starts to like find these like the having an I want song that's like so clear about like, oh my God, I want something great, something's coming, right? It's a something's coming moment when it's like, as you say, either no song at all or something that's more in line with the fact that it's like, I'm really just kind of treading water right now because I am really out of my depth.
Yeah, there's something even too about there's something just so simple about just being like, am I okay with this? Like, there's not even a like, oh no, I'm scared. It's not like, not necessarily like a fear. It's like, there's something, the thing about that character for me was always like, wow, like some part of her superpower was that she doesn't have those social hang-ups.
Right.
She's not actually like embarrassed about these things.
Right.
When she's like, yeah, I'm going to join, like after the plastics are like, it's social suicide. She's like, I think I'm going to do it. And Damian does it still, but she gets caught up. She's not like, no, I can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, that's not the thing that drags her in.
Right. Yeah.
That gives her the superpower. I think that's part of the superpower that the plastics like. You know what I mean?
She's
this
willing
like unbotheredness.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem timid. She doesn't seem scared. She's just like different. She's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's a novelty to them.
It's novel, but like
something to tame.
Yeah, and it's not like they don't have to take care of her.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't take in like a wounded bird.
Right. Well, someone they can mold, like that's what she ends up, at least in the original, that's what I remember feeling like. It was like, ooh, there's someone new and she's kind of pretty and I can mold her to my image.
But it's like, I feel like if they smelled the fear in it, because I would say like both Gretchen and Karen in the original movie and Karen in the new movie, like there's like, they have their own like superpowers that unbothered, like Karen's so dumb that she just isn't bothered by anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's moldable. They have these qualities that make them hyena level. They're not
right. They're adaptable.
They're adaptable. So they're both like less than, but also not destroyable. You know what I mean? They're still valuable.
Right.
Even in Gretchen, more so in the original movie than in this one, like is the enforcer. Like she kind of like knows her place and is happy to know her place in a way that like
that gives her
she was
power.
A little bit like, I'm always nervous that something's going to go wrong thing in the new movie. Like I think it was a little bit overplayed.
Yeah, it's her certainty that gives her power in the first one.
Yeah, she knows her place, and that's why you can crack her
later, right?
Because you're like, but I did all the things. I follow the rules,
right?
And because she was so happy to be like, oh no, I'm so happy to like tell you all these things. Like,
let me help you. Yeah,
because I know the right things to do.
Right.
I know all the rules.
Yeah.
Because she is smart. That is her thing.
Yeah.
She isn't stupid. She just like cares very much about
the order.
Yeah. And
the
that's her both
hierarchy.
Like the thing that keeps her from being the leader.
Yeah.
But also gives her value.
Yeah.
And they, for the most part, I would say Karen stays there. Yeah. Gretchen, for the most part, is there. She does have that power. Cady,
not really.
Not as much.
Yeah.
We kind of take it away. We make her a little bit more innocent.
A little more timid, a little more innocent, a little more scared.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, I'm just going to do this next move.
There are so many things in the original movie that Cady just like does on her own.
Yeah.
Like I've now watched the Mean Girls movie twice the new one, because I saw it with you for the second time, for my second time, so that you could see it. And I just kept being like, Janis is like really in control of this. And in the original movie, she's not really.
Yeah.
And weirdly,
she's a chaos actor in the original. This one, she's like very like orderly in the new one.
And I think there's like something that I don't know if they do this on purpose, because maybe they did, but when Janis is like mad at her for not going to the party, I'm like, are you friends?
Yeah.
Are you guys friends? It doesn't feel like you have been friends.
Right.
There's something too about Regina George in the original that she starts and she seems nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments of like the fake nice thing, and there's not a lot of fake nice in the new movie, which is really interesting. Again, I think that's generational.
Yeah, I bet it is. Because it could maybe surprise you with like how mean she is, or it's like you don't know which way it's going to go in the original. In this one, it's like you know all right off the bat who that is. Right,
and maybe they know that, and so they're like, we're starting and we're doing it. And I don't mind the choice of being like Regina George,
especially when you have like a song that you come in with this like fantastic Regina George song. Another reason why maybe just lean into the thriller element of it. Yeah. Make it a psychological thriller.
A little bit more like Heather's than than Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Which obviously like
that was always the comparison.
Always the comparison.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like bring it back to the Heathers world a little bit.
Because I think the Heathers musical worked pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments that I'm like, well, but like otherwise, like leaning into some of like the intensity of those moments is really interesting when you keep it dark.
Right.
When you're a comedy.
Yeah.
Because
especially because you've got
when it's dark.
Yeah, and especially when you have like someone like Damian, that actor, and some of these like funny moments with Karen, where it's like imagine having like all of these like dark things and then being able to have these like glimmers of comedy. Oh my god, especially that would be like that would work so well
in the dark songs.
Yes. Yeah. I think that would have worked really well.
I don't think like a funny song needs to be funny.
Right. It will be funny if it's funny.
Yes.
You don't have to do nothing.
Yeah. So
all right. Yeah, I think that's generally my
what is generally
my full
the whole
review.
Last hour of talking.
Yeah, yes, no, just like the idea that I think that the thriller element is good for this movie. That would be the change. That's how you'd fix this.
Lean into that.
Yeah, lean into it.
I don't think it has to go full thriller.
No, I mean it's not going to be,
But maybe that gives it back some of the edge that I feel like it's missing, since we're missing the
clipping of the comedy. It's like in a justified space.
Harsh they can be to each other. I mean, like, when people were mean, they were a little bit more direct.
Yeah.
I assume that's why they make those changes now. That back in 2004, people were kind of mean to your face.
20 years ago, blah, blah, blah.
And people were mean. And people were
mean. Overt.
I mean, and that fake nice.
Oh, man.
You could smell it on people.
Yeah.
It was, you're like.
You couldn't do anything about it.
Yes.
Because they're being nice.
Yeah. It was a good tactic, but I don't think that flies as much anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
Because people get put on blast.
Put on blast. Yeah.
As the Utes like to say. Maybe. Do they?
I don't know.
Don't quote me on that.
Actually, that might be a little old now. I don't know. Shall we move on to ratings?
What was the joke that, we could move on to ratings, but they were like, it's from an old movie. Juno, I think.
Oh no, that made me want to throw up.
I know. Yes.
I think it's from an old movie. Juno, maybe?
An old movie.
Oh, it is an old movie.
It is.
I haven't seen it in a while. I liked it.
I think that was specifically meant to
hurt my feelings.
Hurt millennials' feelings. I believe that's true, and it absolutely worked.
Yes, it did. Sure did.
Both times.
Yeah.
Groans.
Oh no. All right, let's move on to ratings.
Okay. So Story. It's a good story.
Yeah, I think I give it a 3 probably.
Okay.
Because of I think those elements that we talked about with kind of Cady's I Want song and some of these I mean, it can maybe fall into technical, but I think those end up being storytelling problems that we are not sure what we want, and we need to establish what these wants are and kind of stick to it.
Yeah.
So that's a 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it much more than that, but I am going to give it a little bit. So I think this is 3.5.
All right. 3.5.
I agree with you. I think the general story structure still works for me. And it is certainly nowhere near as successful an execution as the original, but it still was fun for me, story-wise. I think the story still holds. We still know
mostly,
what's happening.
and
the storytelling.
There
are elements that undercut the storytelling, though. I will say.
Yeah.
So that would bring it down to a 3.5.
Great.
It's still a good story.
It's a good story. Yeah. Technical. I know. There's just so much that's like really good about it, and then there's other things that don't. It's like goes back and forth. I think I would do a 3.5. I think there's like some really great choreography. I think the updates to the music are really great.
Updates
a lot of
from the musical.
From the musical, right. A lot of the acting is really, really great. And it's just like I would bring it down from, a straight up 5 just for those little parts. It's like Cady not singing that well. I mean, even her acting is fine. Like, there's nothing that's like wrong with it.
She's fine. Like, I'm not to say that she's bad.
It's just some of those like the things that like just didn't land.
Yeah,
for me, like joke wise, or but like some of the things worked really well, like the incorporation of social media stuff and viral
some
videos.
Really,
like,
really funny moments.
So
with social media.
I don't want to give it too low, so I think I give it a 3.5.
Okay, I think I just agree with you. I think it's just there are redeeming moments in the technical things where they, you look at some really great singers. Even I never know how to pronounce her name. The woman who plays
Moana. I don't remember either.
Auli'i Cravalho.
I don't remember.
Auli'i Cravalho. Something like that. If I may be mispronouncing it, of course. I think she sounds great.
Yeah, she does.
Sounds excellent. Jaquel Spivey playing Damian sounds excellent. The woman who played Gretchen sounded good on her song.
Yeah.
The Karen, very, very funny.
Good. Yeah.
Very funny. So like some good performances and some great, the arrangements of the songs in general, much better than the musical.
I mean, it's like even like Sexy, especially. I think that's probably the best update where it's like, it's so hokey.
It sounds so
in the
hokey.
original, sounds so stupid in the original, and then in the movie, it's like
sounds cool.
Some bop.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's another where it feels like they're like, yeah, we can take it more seriously, and then it will be more funny.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah.
I'll say 3.5 for tech.
All right.
It's
3.5.
Again, it's pretty. It's like it's solid.
Yeah.
But it's not mind blowing.
Right. And finally, rewatch value. I think I'm gonna be mean. I give it a 1.
Do it, okay.
I give it a 1 simply because if I want to watch Mean Girls, I'm gonna watch the original one. I'm not gonna watch this one again. I'll watch clips because some of the music's really great, but I don't need to watch the whole thing. I think it also, because of its expansion contraction problems with music, it just it drags a little, and I want the clip of the original one.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I just wouldn't, if I was like, let's watch Mean Girls, I would never pick this one up. I would pick up the original.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 for rewatch. And
you did rewatch it.
I did.
You were happy to rewatch it.
I was happy to rewatch it. And I think I would be happy kind of whenever, but I think you're right in that I don't, especially now going back and rewatching the original movie, I'm much more likely to go back to that because there's something, I don't know, it also just like speaks to our generation and our sense of humor and it's nostalgic. There's lots of things about it that make me feel that way. I especially give it a 3 because like I will watch those clips a lot, and I think that is.
You think that'll be worth it? That gives it a bump.
Absolutely, that's rewatching.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
Yeah,
if you like a piece of the story, I don't know. I do think that's part of what a musical does. That's part of what a musical is trying to do.
Okay, so maybe not a 1, because maybe I should like establish that a 1 is like if someone was like, let's watch this movie.
Maybe like, no,
I'm walking out.
Can we give 0? Do we give 0 stars?
We haven't.
I mean, is that?
We could probably.
Okay.
Then
I was curious because most people are like 1 is the lowest.
1 is probably the lowest. Yeah. But I don't know.
It doesn't matter. We can figure it out.
If we really hate something, we can change the rules.
We can do whatever we want.
Make this up. Yeah, and then maybe I'll give it a 2. I'll just bump that up a little because I would rewatch some of those scenes.
Yeah, I'd watch it with another group of people.
Yeah, if someone turned it on, I wouldn't like walk out. I'd be like, "Can we not see it?" No. If they had never seen this one, then I would be like, "Okay, fine, we can watch it." But if they were like, "Let's watch Mean Girls," I'd be like, "Can we do the first one?"
Yeah,
I would ask for the first one, and I would never choose it.
Okay,
never choose this one.
Cool.
Okay.
That's our ratings. All right.
The ratings.
Now for some superlatives.
Cut and print.
Quick.
Superlatives. Oscar moment. I mean, the burn till someone gets hurt.
Till someone gets hurt. Not world burn.
Not world burn.
The other great.
Yeah, the other one. I mean, that one's also very good. Actually, I'm going to watch the world burn.
There's something
really like very sinister about.
Ooh, it's creepy.
And I didn't know that's what that song was about. And it kind of like threw me off a little. I think we talked about it yesterday that I was like, I don't know if I liked it because I didn't realize that song was the seduction song, but in the context of like, it's actually kind of a thriller. I think that's like a really brilliant starting point.
It's fascinating.
It's really, I feel like it's like,
because like that's the thing about the original movie is like as a young teenager for me, like that watching her go up and talk to Aaron Samuels when she kisses him in front of her. Oh, what
a shock.
It feels like sick. Someone like ripped out, it's like that, like,
yeah. Yes.
I'm that.
Oh, I can go talk to him for you.
Like there's something like really,
yeah.
I don't know. It is really shocking to me. It's really,
you see like the true colors come out.
There's something visceral about the way it feels like, and there's I forgot about this there's the scene right after that in the original movie where they do the hair pushback thing and she, in her mind, like
pounces on her. Yes. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And in the movie, when she kisses him, she's like, that bitch, just like very like,
yes,
has a very visceral reaction. And is like, it is. So I think it was cool to like really like to see that game, to see the psychological games, because like that's the whole point of Regina George is she's able to control, like she's able to manipulate people.
Right. And in the original, it's a lot of it's implied because we just see it happen. Well, and in the musical, we have the pleasure of being able to.
They do have a great scene where like it's a little bit, it's playful, and you see her maneuvering.
Yeah.
And it like the thing about it is like it's a little easy in the original movie where it's like a little bit like I just have to like be a little flirty. And like he knows that like it wasn't like in this one there's like some
resistance
trauma between them or whatever. There was like it feels like
that was deeper. Was part of her maneuver in the new one where it's like she creates the drama so that he chases her.
Yes,
and she's like, come chase me. It's really interesting.
And I do think it's a good update for the new generation where it's not like we're not just like watching someone be like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't break up with you. You're so handsome.
Yeah.
Oh, but she's like really childlike. She does this and this and
yeah.
And it's like it's not as there's something, and you see it. It's actually very interesting and well done in the original movie.
Yeah,
but it's very. It does feel generational. It does feel different. Where I'm like, I'm not sure younger generations would buy that.
Right.
But they do the same thing.
Yeah.
She does mind games.
Yeah.
And does it in a very contemporary way, which I thought was very effective still.
Yeah. And if that was like the core of the film and you like build out the film from there, I think that would be fantastic.
That was because like part of it is like you see these like fake nice things that she's doing the whole time. And so you're seeing her be manipulative.
Yeah.
Like there's a really interesting scene in the movie. Like I wish like more of that, we see more of that emotional manipulation around the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Because they kind of like cut out a lot of it. They cut out a lot of her controlling people.
Yeah.
Weirdly in the new movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that was strange. There's like a moment where like in the new movie, Regina is like, oh, she set my backpack on fire. You gotta stay away from her.
Yeah.
And Katie's like, oh, geez. And then she talks to Janis about it. She's like, yeah, you set her backpack on fire. And they have to set the record straight.
Right.
In the original, Regina's telling this whole story about
it's like a whole long thing.
And she was like really obsessed with me, and she was getting really jealous about this thing. And like, then she was invited to this party, or like she was supposed to come to like this pool party, and I couldn't invite her because like she obviously was a lesbian, and I couldn't have like girls in swimsuits around her.
Right.
And like, you can see Cady being like she doesn't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, when she's hearing it, she's already like anti Regina at that point.
Right.
And so like watching that happen, it's like that. So the interesting thing about watching The Fake Nice, where you're like, it is like a train wreck. You're like, I know this is bullshit. Or even if it's not, you are sounding horrible.
Yeah.
But like, you say it as if it was like everyone else you've said this to is like, oh my gosh, yes, of course.
That's how, you've been validated in your description.
But we see a lot of her acting on things and manipulating things. And there's like there's a really great moment. They do it in both movies where Gretchen's like, Jason, I don't remember his name, whatever her crush is, that
Aaron,
not Aaron.
Oh, her crush. Yeah.
Gretchen's crush.
Yeah.
Is like, he's crotch sitting that girl. And Regina's like, and she like goes and does something. We don't even know what it is in the new movie.
Right.
In the original, that happens. She calls up that girl's mom, pretends to be Planned Parenthood, so that her mom calls and stops the date from happening.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's so much more interesting the way that she like actually affects the world in a way that like it is implied. Like, there's an interesting thing about the groundedness, and that like she doesn't have to do much.
Yeah. To control
the pit. Yeah. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that is an interesting choice.
But to be able to see how she actually, what effort she puts in the original film, like she's actually like, what does she do?
What is her value? Why is she actually?
Why is she the queen bee?
Yeah. And they could have done a little bit better. Anyway. So what was
so that was my Oscar moment.
That was your Oscar moment.
My Oscar moment.
Yeah,
we went on off the rails there.
Yes, of course.
Jeez. Okay.
This is fun to talk about. I love Mean Girls. But Oscar moment. Yeah, I think I just have to agree. I think that was the most striking thing to me, especially, I will say, like the choreography specifically in that song.
Okay.
Because it's
simple. It's eerie.
Simple. They don't do very much.
Yeah.
It's like frozen and like a little bit manipulative, but it's not a lot.
And it's some bouncing.
Yeah, but it's shockingly.
It's interesting and
compelling.
And eerie. Yeah.
And you're like, which makes some of the like the quiet manipulation. You're like, oh, she's pulling more strings than you think.
Yeah.
And I find that very interesting. And and that's, to your point, can expand that
into the rest of the film.
Because I loved that Regina found out at the party from a text from Gretchen.
Yes.
That we saw. I loved that.
Yeah.
I thought that was very effective.
Yeah, I did too.
As an update for that. Where I'm like, because like you see Gretchen talking with Cady while
she's
texting
Regina. It's like such a today thing to do too.
It was the version of the three-way call that we needed.
Yes.
And I wish there was a couple more moments because those are fun.
Yeah.
Because the three-way calls in the movie are
hysterical.
Iconic.
Yeah. Someone's listening. Did you hear what she said? Ugh. God.
So good.
Yeah.
You hear? She's not mad at you. I can't believe you think I like attention. So very good.
All right.
But yeah, so I thought that was a really cool update for those
really cool
three-way,
update,
where you're talking and they're texting at the same time. I thought that was brilliant. And then you see her like type something out, erase it, type something out, the ... dots, and then she just like panics and sends, she likes Aaron. And I love it. And I'm like, because that part I was like,
yeah.
Oh God, that gave me like, I'm like, don't you... I was like, I was so mad at
Regina
her.
like,
ooh, so good
seething.
in the background.
Oh man, and that brilliant outfit.
So glamorous, okay. I would say.
Unearned moment.
There's a few.
Yeah.
I think I just want to talk about this moment. The moment where there's a song at the end when Cady's like handing out the pieces of crown and she's like,
you're a star and you're a star. Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny because it's like the other songs I have a problem because they're too specific, and that song I have a problem with because it's not specific enough. In the movie, she actually makes actual connections with people.
Yeah.
Where she's like, and she made her own dress, and that's so lovely, and she's talking to people.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a really great moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they're like, yeah, it's a great moment. Let's do it. And she's like, I see stars. You're all stars. And I'm like, that's so generic.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. Halfway through the song, though, because that actress doesn't really sing, they just give the rest of the song to the girl who doesn't go to that school.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. And she still doesn't go here.
Funny little callback. Not a terrible choice.
No, but like very weird.
But it just, especially as like, I just remember being like, oh wow, that voice sounds great. She sounds great. And she did. And they have even a moment where she's like, she sounds great.
Yeah.
And that's very silly. But like, I just feel like that moment in general made me sit back and be like, she couldn't do that, could she?
Yep. No, she couldn't. So we're going to give it to that girl. You
wanted that moment to be special. So you
made it a joke.
You've added it to this other joke. Mm-hmm. You expanded that other joke, which is not a terrible way to do that.
Fine.
It's fun to like, it's always fun for me in a musical to see like a chorus member pop off and get like a really featured solo. Yeah. I love it. I think that's so fun. So like that element, but the fact that it just felt like, you're like, okay, give the best climactic moment of that song to not the lead of the movie feels so really weird to me.
Yeah. Unearned. My unearned moment is the weird Tina Fey message right at the top of the movie.
Oh, yes.
That
was fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. The
movie where Tina Fey, it opens up and she's like, thank you all for coming to the movie. Enjoy. And I was like, what is this? What are you apologizing? It feels like an apology. You're apologizing for your movie right now.
Anything specific?
It's just so weird.
She just had like supporting. I'm like,
was this a Kickstarter? What is this?
Right. Like, it really undercuts the movie. This? I'm like, do you not believe in this?
I know. I was weirded out by that.
I know. Well, I forgot it happened too, and I was like,
what?
There was like a bunch of things that I'm like, I don't want to tell you that those things happen because I want to like get your reaction.
Especially because she's in the movie too. It's like so reprising her role. Like it's not like she's like, oh, I just felt like it was like masterpiece theater.
But why?
It's like Beverly Hills letting us know why the musical's playing. It's so weird. I've never seen that before, and I hope I never see it again. That was bizarre.
Weird. Yes.
Unearned.
Okay, let's go to some other.
All right.
Do a couple quick little things.
Best favorite Damian joke.
Well, I said it this last time.
What?
That was my moment of the week last time.
Oh,
do you remember?
Yeah.
Last time I talked about the joke. So there's literally a moment. Nothing. We're not even focused on it because we're looking at Cady.
Yeah.
Being like thinking through things while Damian and Janis are still talking about something, and they were like, "Oh, we should have lunch together tomorrow," because she was finally done with the plastics. And while she's like in her head thinking about she's like so excited that she can move on. He's like, tomorrow I think I'm gonna get dumplings unless they have pizza bagels, and then I might get both. Which I just think is such a funny line.
Cute.
It just it
was very funny.
It surprised me the first time, and I just really like it, and I think it's funny.
That is funny.
It's cute.
I think mine was when he's on the little scooter, and they drive by the party at Cady's, and he's like, I can't stop this. I got curfew. Can't stop this jazzy. I got curfew. That's so freaking funny.
Made me laugh
and then
so
as they're
hard.
like leaving, he's just like staring at her. Oh, it's so funny.
And he doesn't do it like he's not very broad about it. I don't know. I think he's so funny.
He's very funny. He's very funny.
He just plays it. He's so good.
Yeah.
I just like him. I think he's so funny. I think he was maybe Strange Loop. I think that's what
true.
it was.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else? Other superlatives.
Favorite social media cameo.
Oh my God! Of course.
That's just
Megan Thee Stallion is so stupid. That was so funny.
Megan Thee Stallion.
That she like that she first she's like in on the meme with Cady, and then later she's like, how do I get these off my algorithm? It's so funny.
Funny.
I just love that you mentioned last night as we were leaving, she was like, gosh, she's such a yes man. And I'm like, it's so she really is. And she's like
I'm down.
She just was like,
let's do it.
Do you want to do this thing? She's like, yeah, sure.
I feel like
and
it's
she's
just
so
worked
funny.
out for her so far. People keep being like, you want to work on this project?
She's like, yeah, sure.
Like everything. I feel like she's a collaborator on everything.
And it's so funny.
And she's perfect.
She's really funny. And like her like huge nails too. And she's like playing with that phone. Oh, it's so funny.
No notes.
It's so stupid.
That was just a setup for that.
Yes.
That was, I just trying to, there's another moment, just like favorite, just completely new moments. I'm just going to go there because I want to talk about.
You do it.
The funniest, I think the funniest moment for me was when they're doing the scene in the gym where they're all talking, whatever. And Tina Fey stands out, like, is like told that she has to take care of this. She's like, okay. And she like starts to sing. Oh my God, it's just like a record scratch motion. She's like, like, and it's, I think it's played
that's so
well,
funny. That is very funny. That's very meta. It feels like
she's like, I'm gonna try this, and she's like, no, it's not gonna work.
Never mind, it's not gonna be a song.
But it's so well underplayed, and it's like it's like a fun meta moment that it really tickled me. I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna be a musical, you got to make fun of yourself just a little bit. And I thought it was so funny.
Yeah,
it worked really well for me.
I think that works well. Yeah, I think for me, added is. What's her name? Park. Plays the French teacher.
Ashley Park.
Ashley Park. When she, it's been 6 weeks. We didn't do anything except make her more popular and bring back the wet look. Mm-hmm. And she like walks away from everyone. And she just like takes water, just like wipes her eyes and like wipes her hair. And it's stupid. It's so funny. And she like walks away from the students to like try to match the popularity. And I thought that was hilarious.
I thought that was a good update too from the boob cutouts.
Yeah.
From the original. Because there's something like bonkers about the boob cutouts, but like kind of like that early 2000s, we buy it enough.
Well, I mean that feels very Y2K era.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're layering your tank top, so it can happen.
Just a cutout, and she's like, huh. Okay.
I thought that moment was played really like she's so good where she's like, whatever. Like her superpowers, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna own this immediately.
And in this it was similar. She gets like sprayed at homecoming, and then she's like, oh shit.
She's like, look, I'm wet.
Yes. Running. And then everybody wants to do it, including the French teacher. And I think that's so funny.
It's like a filter too.
Yeah.
And it just like feels like something that could be viral.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was fun. Yeah.
I think maybe generally just like some of the extra like new teachers, because like John Hamm spelling hormones and he spells it with a W.
Yeah.
Hormone spelled W-H.
So stupid.
Like, that's so dumb, John Hamm. You're so dumb.
He is so dumb.
It's a wonder he ever got Mad Men, because he's like just stupid and funny in everything else he ever does.
I've never seen Mad Men, so.
He is very serious.
Wild.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Thank you all for joining us for this episode of Two Grooms, One Plot. Follow us wherever you can on all the social medias, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and especially on YouTube where you can watch us and see what cool outfits we're wearing, because we always change up our outfits.
Yes, we don't only have one.
We don't only have one outfit. But we like to look pretty for you, so make it worth our while. Yeah, thanks so much. and we'll see you here next time. I'm Pavi Proczko, and remember, you go, Clen Coco.
And I'm Colin Funk, and remember, being fake nice is meaner than being mean.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Two Grooms, One Plot, a Pavitas Productions project, hosted by Colin Funk and Pavi Proczko. This podcast was produced by Chicago Podcast Studio. Our opening cartoon was created by Gloriu, and our theme song was composed by me, Pavi Proczko. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite listening platform. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Two Grooms, One Plot for updates on new episodes and behind-the-scenes content. If you have any feedback, comments, concerns, or kudos, you can email us at twogroomsOneplot@gmail.com. Please rate and review us wherever you can. It would help us out a bunch. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time.